Hello, my name is Carrie Quinn. I'm the officially unofficial geek, and I'm playing with filters. Anyways, hi, hi, hello. I'm the officially unofficial geek. My name is Carrie Quinn. I'm not only here playing with filters, but I'm also here to do a random review of Batman: The Dying City. This is the last hurrah, so to speak, at least for this time period of Chip Zdarsky writing Batman. And it just came out in trade. I read it on Hoopla. Hoopla is an absolutely wonderful app that you can use through your public library if they have access to it. And my public library has access to it, and I read it through my public library. And this is kind of what it looks like. So you would do it like on here, see, um, which I did, which I did. Um, so I have one thing to say overall encompassing idea and feeling that I have involving Batman: The Dying City, and that is Daddy Batman's woke, baby. Oh, yeah. Daddy Batman's woke. Daddy Batman's woke. He's woke, baby. And I love it. Okay. All right. So here's the thing. I am woke. And I have absolutely no problem admitting that. And I'm happy admitting that. And to me, it's like a whole reclaiming thing. Like to some people, they develop this whole concept of someone being woke and being like it being a negative thing. And to me, I gladly reclaim it. And um I flaunt it. I feel, quite frankly, I flaunt my ability to be awake through life and you know not accept the idea of people just being genuine assholes to each other. But anyway, Daddy Batman's woke. Yeah. All right. Let's check this out. Um this is the end of the Chip Zdarsky run on Batman. Um and I normally, when I was reading lots of comics before I had to cut back, Batman was one of my comics that I read quite frequently, monthly, in fact. Both Batman and Detective Comics. Um, Batman is probably one of my favorite heroes, quote unquote. Um, so when I had to give up reading Batman monthly, it was really a big bummer. So I've been waiting for this day when the final, like that bit, because now I'm back reading Batman because they're doing Hush too. But that final bit of the Chip Zdarsky run needed to be filled in for me. So when I saw it today on Hoopla, when I was cruising to see what was new comic book wise on Hoopla, I snatched up on the opportunity, grabbed it, read it, not in one sitting, in one day, obviously, because I discovered it today and then I read it today. So in one day, not in one sitting, because frankly, I had dinner at a certain point, talk to a friend online at a certain point, conversed with my boyfriend other than that over dinner. We had fettuccine Alfredo, right? And then I read Batman. Um, well, okay, so like check this out. I read a little bit of Batman, right? Then I had some fettuccine Alfredo with garlic bread, with garlic bread. Then I talked to a friend for a while online. And then I went ahead and I finished the rest of Batman, The Dying City by Chip Zdarsky, Jorge Jimenez, and Timon Mori. Um, I was very pleased with it. I have heard some negativity surrounding this arc of Chip Zdarsky's Batman, like people stating that they were, you know, not pleased as a whole with Chip Zdarsky's Batman run. Now, what I am going to say is there have been some ups, there have been some downs. And like anything, there's good, there's bad. And this one was one of those ones, if I'm sitting there and I personally, as somebody that also writes and has read a lot of comic books over the years, as somebody in that position as I am, especially somebody that's read a lot of Batman, um, there are certain elements here that are tropes. To which, the thing is we have this idea in the commentary, community as a whole, people that are reviewers that tend to look down on the usage of tropes or using them too much. And when it comes to tropes, I have a more positive approach to the idea of tropes because to me, tropes are tropes. Why? Because they work. Um, the point of a trope, and I've said this before back in the day doing comic book reviews like monthly, the idea of a trope isn't necessarily a bad thing. Here's the thing is the trope is a partial is a building block to something else. Okay? So you take a trope. See, this is effective writing when you can take a trope and you use that as a foundation to build to something else. And when you use that trope as a foundation to build something else, and you're not just stopping at the trope, that means that there is flow, there is direction, there is vision in the writing, other than just being something that has come before, because that's the whole point of tropes. Is tropes are things that have happened before. They have happened repeatedly, and that's the definition. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily the Webster definition of a trope. Like, I mean, let's be real. That's I don't know if that's the Webster definition of a trope. But you know what? You know what? You know what? Good old Carrie is going to do. You know what the OUG is going to do? The OUG is going to look up the definition of a not a troop, but a trope definition. I'm just hoping I'm spelling it right. Trope, trope, trope definition. Okay. Okay, so Okay, so according to Google from Oxford Languages, okay, that's the definition it pulls from. A trope is a noun, and it is a figurative, or there's two different parts to the definition. It's either a figurative or metaphorical use of a word or expression, or a significant or reoccurrent theme, a motif. Okay, so yes, the fact that something is reoccurrent theme in literature is a trope. One can say that the hero's journey is a trope, um, because it happens everywhere. There's specific different points of the hero's journey that to be considered being used as a plot device have to be met. And I think as a art form as a whole, comics thrive, especially superhero comics thrive on the convention of using tropes. They just do. Love it or hate it, love it or leave it. That's the nature of the beast. Right on. Yeah. So if you're reading comics, especially superhero comics, you know, if you're reading let's be specific. If you're reading superhero comics, you it's a given. It's a given that you are going to encounter tropes. Now, the question is whether when you encounter the tropes, if the tropes then are used as a basis, and then the building blocks over the trope season the usage of the trope. And one of the things I do find great about work like Chip Zdarsky, work that comes from him, from other writers like him, Tom Taylor, um, they pull inspiration from the world around them. And to a number of people, and some people in the bookish and or comic book community, pulling experience and inspiration, from how you feel about the world around you, is either okay or it's a negative thing. For me, it's okay, because to me, I view the idea of part of your job as a writer is to be able to feel some connection with what you're writing. And that's kind of how I approach it, my viewpoint of whether something is effective as a story. Okay? Now, something can be effective as a story without being something I agree with. Okay? Something can be effective as a story without being something that I agree with. Now, think about that for a second. How is it that something can be effective as a story while also being something I don't agree with their viewpoint? Let's say that their viewpoint. Something can be effective as a story, but I don't agree with their viewpoint. There you go. Think about that. How is that possible? Well, something can be effective because there's a writer putting their actual feeling into the piece. Because this could be a superhero doing what people feel like is the right way to act in this situation. And it could be the opposite of what I feel personally is the right way to act in a situation. That didn't happen here, but it's true. It could happen. It could happen. It could. I could get upset with something in somebody's viewpoint, just like you can get upset with me and my viewpoint. But an effective story doesn't necessarily have to be something I agree with. And on the flip side, an effective story doesn't necessarily have to be or expound or present views that you agree with. So, is the last arc of Chip Zdarsky's Batman effective? Well, that also depends on one's opinion of what effective is. Does it tell a story that has a beginning, a middle, and an end? Yes. Does it have an effective climax? Yes. Does it tie everything up? Is by the end of this series, is there any questions left that can't be cleared up with the next round? Is there any questions? Any open pieces of something that needs clarification? And I would say no. Is it a satisfying end? Well, again, that's up to one's personality, one's viewpoints, and one's own opinions. My opinion, it's an effective end to the series. Well, at least his run. Batman is still being produced. So it's an effective end to a run that caused Batman and Bruce Wayne to have to take several different looks at who he was, what he was doing, how he did things, how he felt about things. It found Batman putting himself in a position where maybe, just maybe, things weren't always black and white. Things weren't always good versus bad. Sometimes good men make mistakes. And sometimes bad men do the right thing. No one is completely bad. No one is completely good. There is all a shadow psychology battling within all of us. And that has been basically, if I were to take a wild guess here, that was the intention all along of Chip Zdarsky's run on Batman. Not everything is black and white. Sometimes the mask is a protective thing. Sometimes the mask is something that lets you manipulate others. Sometimes it's a protection, sometimes it's a weapon. Sometimes, like I said, it dove into the idea that sometimes things are not always good, things are not always evil. But sometimes good people can do things that are bad. Sometimes bad people can do things that are good, especially in this series, which I'm trying not to give since it just went up on Hoopla. I'm trying not to give a lot of spoilers, but I'm trying to give you kind of an idea of what to expect when you're reading this, and that it ties up the concepts that they went into, Chip Zdarsky and company went into with this run and it ties it up into a nice little bow while also staying true to the viewpoints and the concerns involving the world around him of the crew that wrote it. I personally had absolutely no problem with the heart and viewpoint that was presented in this arc of Batman. Now, I can imagine why some people would disagree. I'm not really one to really mess with any of those people, meaning more than likely those people are not going to be people that feel and think and all that the same way I do. But what I ask is even if some of the things in the imagery and some of the things that are said in particular in this volume of Batman go against your certain socio political viewpoint, is it an effective story? Even if you don't agree with it, is it an effective story? That's something I think that people should keep in mind, especially when dealing with these kind of stories. Is it an effective story? And maybe it's just not for you. Because believe me, there's going to be stuff out there that's for you. Go find it. But to me, when I'm finishing up this video, I have to say, to me, reading this arc, like I said, not in one sitting, but within hours, um, hooray for woke daddy Batman. And hooray for writers putting themselves into what they love. Because it's so much more interesting when they do. That's what I want to leave you guys with. When you're reading, try to understand the artist and the viewpoint of the artist and try to see the world maybe through their eyes. See what it's like to walk around in their brain, whether you like it or not. Because nothing is better than an artist, a creator, a writer, anything, putting that heart, that soul into that page. Nothing is better than that. Nothing should be discouraged involving that. And nothing should be taken away from that. These people are not machines, they're creators that love to create. So, of course, they put something of themselves in their work. It makes it more beautiful. And that's about it for me because, well, I'll go read some more. Um, I've got plenty of stuff to read. I've got a huge TBR. I am so excited to have all that possibility in front of me. We're going to be doing some shows soon. I'm working on some stuff. Hopefully get some other people besides my fucking mug up on the screen for you. Um, and maybe maybe more I've got this idea that I got going on right now. I live in Indiana, and as you guys can see, I've got a soft spot for the true crime documentary, and so I was kind of like, what are the weirdest true crime documentaries that take place in Indiana? So right now I'm really dug into one of them. So I'm trying to decide if I want to do like kind of like here are the four that I've done, or if I want to just kind of do some of these separately and just do like a little like small little series. But right now I am into the curious case of Natalia Grace. I am in the middle of that second season, and it is just, oh my goodness. That's the reaction. Oh my goodness is putting it lightly, probably. Like, oy vey. Oh my goodness. All those things. Just, uh, ooh. That's another way to put it. Ooh. Um, so right now, that's kind of one of the longer ones that I'm watching. So we'll have to see where it goes from there. I might do like a little series. I might do one video. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Um, I want to kind of talk about like some books that I've picked up, some other stuff that I'm doing, and talk about everything I read like last month. I want to do something like that, but I haven't quite figured out how to pull that together and to just make myself sit down and do it. You know. Hmm. I've been doing some more D&D, Dungeons and Dragons type of gaming lately. I've been foray into the fifth edition, which if you know anything about me, I haven't really been much about the fifth edition, so maybe I'll do some talk about that. Who knows, guys? I'm gonna be talking soon about some upcoming writing that I'm releasing. So stay tuned for that as well. Yeah. So until next time, this is the officially unofficial Geek Channel. My name is Carrie Quinn. I'm an author. I am a reviewer. I am a pop culture commentator. And that's about it for me for now. I'm still working on that whole ending. And so for now, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to quote loosely one of my favorite. I also got into wrestling, guys. I got into wrestling. He's one of my favorite wrestlers said in an interview that if your dreams don't scare you, you need bigger dreams. So that's what I'm going to leave you guys with. So until next time, this is the officially unofficial Geek Channel. I'm Carrie Quinn, author, reviewer, pop culture commentator, and I will see you next time. Bye.